Sanbonani, greetings, Lo Chani. It is Zakhele Mthembu here. Today, you are joining me for a video that was a tad bit different. I recently went to the African Liberty Forum in Nairobi, Kenya, and I had an opportunity to speak to, I would like to consider the most important people on the African continent, and those are the defenders and fighters, advocates of liberty from Southern Africa all the way to the West and the East. And I had some pretty interesting questions for them about what liberty means for them and what form of reforms that they are looking for back home. And I hope that you enjoy the conversation so that you are able to see that the ideas that we speak about here are not only shared by us here at the Free Market Foundation, but we have a network of organizations all throughout the African continent that are fighting to see this wonderful place prosper. So I hope that you do enjoy, and yeah, stick with it. Okay. So, Mr. Kofi, please tell us what has been your most, what idea has resonated with you the most thus far at Liberty Forum? We just had, speakers presenting at the keynote address, and I want to know what really stuck with you from those addresses.
Right. I think interestingly, I took notice of the localizing fundraising in Ghana, rather than always seeking for funding outside the country, because the messages are for the people in your country, the messages are not for just foreigners. Also, it's important that you bring in stakeholders that could support what you do to drive the change and reforms you need in your organization and the country as a whole. Besides that, too, there are a few things I took home that includes things you need to stop doing and things you need to start doing, especially not always preaching to the choir, as well as not trying to exaggerate your grant milestones, exaggerate your grant outcomes just for the purpose of winning grants from your donors. But you should be tactical, specific, and ensure that your milestones are measurable so that you could win grants and implement them for reforms and measure them as well.
So I've attended the first session and the breakout session. I think the breakout session has really been amazing. We were learning about how we can effectively train, young people in, the policy reform aspect, as well as the advocacy aspect of it, and also trying to choose particular facilitators for our sessions. I'll give you an example. In Zambia, we want to have the policy reform colloquium, and so from there I've learned on how we can look for such facilitators who are actually going to do a great job. And also one thing is how we are going to measure impact from the trainings that we're going to have.
The most idea I can say, because there was many who were very interesting, but the powerful one was international economic policy, how my country must deal with certain kind of terminology and ideas. In the way, particularly, we are now in the transition period where the country has to implement a new strategic economic reform which can attract investors and also which can create for the citizen a free market opportunities, which can particularly help the country to rise up is an economic freedom index.
What has stood out for me at the moment is the current breakout session that I was part of, where we're just trying to understand the effectiveness of trainings around our think tanks. So the main aspect that was coming out there was, after we do this training, what next? How do we measure impact? How do we really say this is real impact? So that was one of the stacking questions that everyone was really still grappling with, because look, we can say this is impact, but is that real impact? Which I would say, yes, people raised a lot of ideas on how can they consider impact in terms of how do people implement what they would have trained, what they would have learned when they go back to their respective organization, and also checking how these kind of trainings are also changing people's lives. So basically we ended up agreeing to say maybe you might need to consider this impact in terms of short, medium and long term. Then we were able to say, okay, in a short term period, this is what we have achieved, which might just be activity based. Then maybe in the long run, then also we're looking at in terms of the policy change and people's life transformation.
I was encouraged to hear more of the work that we do shouldn't just be seen, but should be felt. People should feel the impact of the work that we do. It's not enough to update on our socials, on our Twitter, on our LinkedIn, Facebook, or elsewhere to say that we are having a policy roundtable, we are here at the Africa Liberty Forum, but it has to be felt. People should feel the impact of what we do. If our work can help communities live better.
The first thing is the growth of an indigenous African liberty movement, reconnecting with very deep roots on this continent of governance, of consensual governance, rather than the violence imposed by European states and then perpetuated by the post-colonial states that inherited that apparatus of coercion, violence, and expropriation. So instead, to see the reconnection with the African roots of freedom, about people living together in harmony, being productive and cooperative. So that's really been awesome. And the papers of the Georgia Society were path-breaking, important, and I think very, very significant. The other thing has been the focus on dealing with problems that can be addressed with African solutions. There's so many residues of European bureaucracy that continue to hamper the people on this continent. There's no reason to maintain these things. Throw off the shackles when it comes to licensing, restrictions, obligations, and trade barriers. People have been trading across the continent of Africa for thousands of years, and then along come the Europeans, draw lines, and say, no, you can't trade from this place to that place, which severed whole nations, entire economies, and trading communities. It's wonderful to see the moves to get rid of those barriers and to allow people to reconnect with their brothers and sisters who just happen to be on the other side of a line drawn in Berlin.
Oh yeah, also that's why that is so amazing. The cornerstone sessions, the panel discussion, and other breakout sessions. It was really nice, and I've learned a lot. Yes, about one presentation about what think tanks should stop doing, and then what they should start doing. I like that one. That we should also speak to. We should listen to the choir. We should find potential people who can help organization grow, and we should invest more in learning and in trainings. In fact, so that I've learned today from this session. I hope to learn more as the sessions continue.
So we just opened the Africa Liberty Forum minutes ago, not so long ago.
That's true.
And we just had a very interesting conversation with a good friend of mine and mentor, Rejoice Ngwenya from Komaliso, Zimbabwe, and Landry Peter from Ominira Initiative. So we had a very interesting conversation, and we had just listened from 3 speakers of the Cornerstone Talks, telling us things that we should start, and also continue doing as think tank. So I think the ideas they shared stuck with me, and they really gave us a lot of things to think about,
The most significant idea, I would say, is the freedom movement building participatory engagement with our regional bodies like ECOWAS, AU. There is a huge gap there that freedom movement don't really participate so much over there, and it's very important that we collaborate in this time that they have after African continental free trade, so that we can be able to make some impact and then influence policy reform from the continental organizations and then the regional blocks, and into promoting free trade at a larger scale on the African continent.
I've learned during this forum that we need to work out sustainable plans and strategies that's going to keep the momentum in each think tank. And I've also learned about measuring impact, because by the time we measure impact, we understand how far we are going, how in depth our work is going, and this can also help us to sustain the momentum with our work. So those 2 things have really resonated with me so far: the idea of sustaining the momentum and measuring the impact, measuring how effective our activities have been generally.
One thing that really has set me thinking and gotten me excited is the need and the necessity for liberals to be highly intellectually predisposed and be able to write about their ideas. So this is why even at the GA, where we talked a lot about the importance of a member being able to write their ideas. Fantastic, we have got different tools which we can use to propagate our ideas through podcasts and online, media. Mm-hmm. But the first port of call is to be able to put your thoughts, put them down into writing. it is much easier for them to be edited and to be replicated. I really love that part of the debate so far.
And that will be it. I hope you did enjoy the conversations I was having with what I would like to consider my friends at the Africa Liberty Forum. There's a very smart individuals, as I'm sure you could tell from the level of conversations that we were having. But most importantly for me, as the biased libertarian that I am, these are individuals who believe in liberty. These are individuals who believe that the flame of liberty is what is needed to spark the wildfire of prosperity in Africa, and I could not agree with them even more. So thank you for watching the video, and as always, please give the video a like. It really does help us a lot. Subscribe if you unsubscribe. Share the video. No, this is more of a vlog-like video whereby I was showing, well, I was having fun by having conversations with people that I admire a lot. So please do share it if you know anyone who is interested. And as always, remember, stay free.